Welcome back to the long and exhausting binge of the MCU. Last video I ranked Phase 1, which means it's now time for Phase 2, which is 6 films spanning from 2013's Iron Man 3 to 2015's Ant-Man. Okay, let's skip the pleasantries. No need for more of an intro. Time for number 6. This movie feels like filler, which is weird because it's supposed to be the only explanation we get about the Reality Stone before Infinity War, but like not only is the stone barely in stone form for the movie, it also just isn't used as we see it in Infinity War anywhere in this movie. Thor isn't as cringy in this movie as he was in the first, but he still isn't that great, and the lame as hell story isn't there to save anything this time. For a long time, this was unanimously agreed on to be the worst MCU film, but I think recently we've seen some MCU films that deserve having that title more, like Thor Love and Thunder, a different Thor movie. I'll discuss that when I eventually get to Phase 4, but I totally get why this was seen as the worst for a while. This movie relies on people believing you need to watch it to understand the Reality Stone, but like honestly, the Nowhere scene in Infinity War sums it up way better in just one scene than this entire movie was able to. This movie simply had me falling asleep and questioning why it was worth my time when none of what we are seeing matters. It is boring and unnecessary. Next. At this point in the Iron Man saga, I think I'm starting to get over the hype of Tony Stark. This isn't a bad movie at all, but the writing has definitely deteriorated since 1 and 2. That being said, this movie is still overall better than 2 because, oh my god, an Iron Man movie finally got a pretty decent villain. But the fact that this movie ended with Tony, through voiceover, saying,
"So if I were to wrap this up tight with a bow, whatever,"
just kinda proves how much the writing has fallen off. Iron Man 1 was good because Tony's character was developed through insanely clever dialogue, but I feel like there's barely any of that here anymore. But I didn't mind this movie as a conclusion to Tony's main character arc, so I can't complain too much. It's a fun movie at best. This movie's plot was very straightforward. Steal the suit and explode or implode the building. They do that and then Scott basically becomes an Avenger and then boom, movie done. I really appreciate how to the point the movie is. It barely even feels like a superhero movie, which is great because that means they actually did a decent job at developing the characters. Like, I was really invested in Scott wanting to see his daughter again or getting into arguments with his wife's boyfriend. Or, I don't know, I guess I'll just say the elephant in the room, how freaking funny Luis is. The movie seemed to nail comedy pretty well, which really says something since Phase 3 has a lot of failed attempts at comedy. So it's quite impressive they did a really good job in this one.
Baskin-Robbins always finds out, bro.
Baskin-Robbins don't play.
I honestly can't even think of many problems with this movie. I know there's a lot of people who don't really like it, but I don't know, it's tame and it gets done what it set out to do. It's a fine movie. The worst Avengers movie is still somehow very good. I enjoyed the story even if Ultron as a villain was insanely weak. Like, dude saw videos of people killing other people and was like, I guess humans are evil. I should kill everyone so that humans can't kill anyone. Also, I feel like his end goal of wanting to destroy humanity could have been reached way faster considering his abilities. But whatever, this was still a really interesting movie. I love how they all got divided over whether it was a good idea to bring Vision back to life considering, you know, last time Stark tried to do that, it didn't go so well. The comedy is also pretty decent. It's honestly just Ultron who's weighing this thing down. Oh, also, I hate to be that guy, but dang, the CGI overload in this movie felt like way worse for whatever reason. I don't know what it was, but by the end of this movie, my brain just hurt from the amount of computer-generated images I stared at for 2 hours and 24 minutes. This movie gets started at the beginning when Nick gets attacked, and it does not stop. The amount of twists and turns in this movie is just so fascinating and makes me never want to take my eyes away. Natasha and Steve having to go to an Apple store to open the flash drive and then immediately after having to leave was just so intense. Bro, this entire movie is just so intense. The action felt real and exciting rather than fantastical like it did in Avengers. Definitely a major step up from the first Captain America. Also, bringing back Bucky, a character who could have just stayed in the time period of the 1940s, proves to be a really good payoff in this movie and in future movies. All around, this was just such an unexpected banger of a movie. No one could have seen this plot coming, and they absolutely nailed the tension around it. Whoa, what a surprise. This movie is amazing. I remember seeing the trailer for this movie before it came out and thinking to my 11-year-old self, this looks really dumb. Marvel is going downhill. Ratio, nail polish emoji. But then I actually watched the movie and oh my god, I could not have been more wrong in my entire life. Every single character is given time to develop and is given a backstory, which I firmly believe is the biggest reason this movie is loved by so many people. Peter is a heartfelt human trying to find his place in the universe. Gamora is divided between what she wants and her father's ruthless ambition. Drax is a family man in grief. Rocket is a sensitive yet hilarious little rodent.
She called me rodent!
Sorry, I meant raccoon. And Groot is Okay, Groot is just Groot, you can't hate on it. The story as well is super engaging and introduces space travel into the MCU in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming or complicated. It also serves as a good movie that just explains more about Infinity Stones in general, which is very helpful for the entire saga. The music choice for the Awesome Mix is top tier and a clever little thing to add to Peter's character. Overall, this is just a perfect new direction for the MCU. Still to this day, these characters are some of my favorites of all time, and that has everything to do with how incredible of an introduction they were given in this phenomenal film. Alrighty, that's it for Phase 2. Oh god, Phase 3 has 11 movies. That's a lot of movies to binge. Oh no, oh god. I hope you enjoyed my ranking. I'd love to see yours in the comments below. Phase 3 is where things start to get really interesting, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on my Phase 3 ranking. Anyways, I'll see ya in Radiator Springs.